Stock Talk. This is your host, Scott. Hope you had a good week in trading. We had a pretty good few trades this week. Actually sold some today, so we'll talk about that, pocketed some money for the week. So that's what we like to do. NVAX has been the star of the week as usual. So it's going to be a lot about NVAX here as we look at our portfolio. But we do have the cryptos are churning a little bit too, so that affects a couple of our stocks in our portfolio. So we'll talk about that. Other than that, it's a pretty good week. We were down on the portfolio as far as the levels go there because of the pullback of NVAX this week. Probably should have sold it all last week. We did sell a good bit of it, but we held on to some in the cash account, and so that did pull back a good bit. And we started buying in as it was drawing back down this week in the IRA. So we did have a little bit of a loss this week on the portfolios, but we're doing good for the year. We'll talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and look at the portfolio. As you can see here, it was a green day. I was actually out of pocket most of the day, so I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but very green. You can see here the NASDAQ 172, Dow 225, and the S&P up 35. And you can see our stocks were doing real well today as well. So first on the list, you see here, I just keep it on there because I watched that along with NVAX. But that's Moderna, so that's not one that we trade, but it just kind of keep it on there so I can see how it's acting versus NVAX. But we won't talk about that. In Bitcoin, also, I do have some Bitcoin, but it doesn't impact our stocks like HUT and MSTR. That's why I keep it on there as well. As you can see, it did have a big day, and this is really still going. Of course, Bitcoin trade 24/7. So let's take a look at HUT. HUT was up today. Actually pretty green on some of it that I'm holding in one IRA. The other one's just a little bit green, I think, or very close to it. But I don't know why they're such different prices, but they are. I don't like when that happens. I like to buy things about the same time so I can get out of things at the same time in both IRAs. But here's your trade today. It's still going up in after hours. Yeah, that's a good little jump. I may jump off of here and go sell some stuff. So may take a break here in just a minute. But anyway, we're at we got 19 more minutes before the market closes. All right, so there you go. You can see here, very good day for it. 6.61%. That's $6.61, and we're up to 685 in after hours. Let's take a look at the 5-day. It's been all over the place, as you can see here. Up and down, up and down. That's the way this one does with Bitcoin. So that's pretty much what we're going to see. Got all the way up to 684 in regular hours, and now it's back up to there. So, but pretty good volume. See here, 5.6 million versus the 2.9 million. So something's going on there a little bit. People are trading it, so that's good. We like the activity. All right, MSTR, we're not holding that. And again, this is a Bitcoin proxy, more or less. It's they hold all the Bitcoin in their treasury, and they're doing well as well. Let's take a look at their 5-day chart. Very similar, and pretty good there. Let's take a look at the month on this one. Yeah, it's getting back up there pretty high. We've traded this one before, but I've been out of it a while because I wanted to get that cash on the sideline because it eats up a lot of cash when you trade that one at $700 a share. So didn't want that much cash in stocks right now. And here's the star of the day as usual. We're going to talk about this one a little bit. NVAX up 13.42 today, down a little bit in after hours. Nothing to worry about there. But I do want to talk about. Look at this volume. See this volume? remember last week we had some heavy volume. This week we've seen the volume drop off, and we've also seen, as the volume drops off, we've seen it pull down at times too, and you can see what it's done this week. All right, so we've added this week. We did some Monday. We talked about that already, but we did buy some on the 18th and the 19th, which was be Wednesday and Thursday. Didn't buy any today, but Wednesday and Thursday we bought some. Wednesday we bought some at 229, 232 in both IRAs, and then also on the Thursday we bought again. You can see how it pulled back down even further, and we bought some at 223 and 218 on Thursday. Of course, it's back up to 230 today, so those were some good buys. Even the early ones were just about up on all those as well. But some pretty good trades. The ones we bought Monday, I can't remember what we bought those at, but they might have been a little bit higher. Unless we bought down here somewhere. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I think we did buy in this dip though, so we're sitting in the green on one IRA, and we are a little bit green, I think, on the other IRA as well. Got a different price on one of those. So yeah, we missed that 222 trade. I think it was Monday, so I bought a little bit more in the extra on Tuesday in the other IRA. So not as good as price, so that's why that's a little bit behind. But you can see here 5 days, it closed last week higher than that, opened a little bit lower on the open on Monday, and it has gone down from there pretty much. And you can see, if not for today, we did have a pretty good, decent drop if you go all the way down here to 217 or so, probably even lower than that. But today's low, today's 219. But that's what we've been doing. We've actually been selling in the cash account that we didn't sell of last week. As it started dropping, I said, well, I'm going to take those profits because they were still pretty good profits, especially what we sold Monday. We sold pretty good. Let's see what we sold that for. I think it was in the 20% range. I have to go back and look at that video. But today we sold some today in the cash account as well. Several different lots we sold today. The one we sold some at 220. That might have been Monday's 21%. I think that was Monday's. And then we sold at a 20, or yesterday. I'm sorry, yesterday. That's what it was. Yesterday it was going down, and I just said, well, I've got to take some profits. And as it was going down to 220.40 or so, it actually got down to about 218, as you can see. I looked at my different lots, and this is what you could do sometime when you're, when you didn't get out of something and it starts to pull back. You can always try to cash out on some of your shares. What I do is I go back and look at my cost average for some of the earlier lots that I bought. Usually when you sell, it's going to be the first in, first out type thing. So the older shares are going to be the ones that sell. And I don't know if you can do it any different anymore. It used to could for tax purposes, but I'm not sure you can still do that. But mine is just first in, first out. So if I sell something, my older shares are going to sell. So what I do is I go look at those older shares, and a lot of times I've actually bought them cheaper than the later shares sometimes, because when it starts running up, a lot of times I'll just keep adding. So what I did is I looked at that, and I really had a good buy on some of those shares in that I sold yesterday, and it was a large lot of shares, okay, as far as the percentage of the shares that I was holding. So when I sold about half of my shares. So it was a pretty good bit, and I sold that at a 21% gain yesterday. Okay, so we had some left over, and half of those were still in the green. And so what I did today is I watched those, and I started peeling those off as the stock started going up. I always do it a little too early, but hey, it's just when you get profits, and let me tell you what they were. The first bid I sold was 10.29% gain. Okay, and now these shares we have not had long, none of these. And then when it got up to, I sold those at 225. Then I waited and it hit 226 and I sold some more. And that was a 15.78% gain on those. And then it hit 227 and I sold some more. And it was 11.42% gain. So the ones that were remaining were some more expensive shares, and so they were not green. And even though it got up close to where they were, I think they are pretty close to green now, if not green, very close to it. So I still hold some shares in the cash account, all right? But again, we sold about half of what we had left today, okay? So we still got some. And then you got to remember we've been buying in the IRA. So even though we've been selling, our share count, has reduced a good bit, but we still got enough shares spread out between the IRAs and the cash account to make some decent money if this thing keeps popping. All right, which I expect it to do any day now. I mean, we're going to look at some of that. Let's go ahead and get back over there to some of these articles I wanted to show you, and just talk about some of those as well. But some good trades on Novavax again this week to pocket some good money, and that's always a good deal when we can do that every week, and that's what we like to do. So, not worried about this after hours right now. Look at the volume. This is what I've been noticing this week. This volume has been low, and so I don't like it when it's low, because that means the big boys aren't interested in it right now. And what it has a tendency to do is start to dip, because the weaker hands, people like me and you that watch it start going down, they'll start selling just like I did. But I'm taking profits. But some folks may have bought on the run up, and so they get scared, and then they're actually selling for a loss, and that can snowball on you. Next thing you know, you're back down there, to the 200 to the 185 range, and this thing has done it several times. So we're trying to be a little cautious and take money off the table. All right, but I wanted to show you some things, if I can pull them up here. Let's go back I want to go back here. I think it's easier to pull up the articles this way. So when I scroll down here, I can see these articles. This one says, why it climbed today? It had something to do with, they're talking about getting more production in the U.S., which, that I don't know how much that impacted anything today, but they were up because, I'll tell you why they're up. They're up because this NASDAQ was up 172 points. So that's why they were up. This article, you can take it for what it's worth. But I do want to show you some other articles I saw here. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. Maybe I have to go under Novavax to get to that. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here's one of them. All right, see, is Novavax stock a buy or sell on another delay for its COVID vaccine? So let's open that up and see what they're saying. Sometimes what they do is they repeat the bad news. They're trying to take the stock down. All right, it says Novavax stock is recovering after delaying its COVID vaccine and announcing an unexpectedly wide second quarter loss. That has nothing to do with Novavax price. Their earnings really has nothing to do with the price of the stock right now. In mid-August, Novavax stock retook its 50-day moving line. Okay, this was the third time delay. So they're talking about old news here of the U.S. Okay, so we all knew that. Meanwhile, it's planning on a UK submission in the third quarter, with Europe, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand following within weeks. It's already finished its submission in India, Indonesia, and the Philippines. So this is the part we know about. That's the part that was good news in that last earnings. All this is news from the last earnings, okay? So that news has been out there. But if you read that headline, you would think we've got another delay on our hands, okay? But if you go on to read the article, it says more bullishly, the company said said a single booster dose of its COVID vaccine at 6 months increased neutralizing antibodies by more than fourfold versus the primary vaccination dose. There was also six-fold increase in the antibodies against the Delta variant. So that's all good news. Now, why didn't they have that in the headlines instead of the other thing? Okay, because this is the real news. All this is real news that affects the stock, and that's why people want this stock. The company also recently found co-administering its COVID and influenza vaccine resulted in strong protection against both viruses. The timing is ideal with the next flu season looming, NVAX said in the news release. So that's their nano flu, and that's why I bought this stock. This and that, and the RSV, which was bad news. But the nano flu is why I got back in it and started loading up on it prior to all this COVID stuff. All right, now Novavax has that nano flu. It has gone through all phase 3 testing. And it's just waiting for approval, but I think they got so bogged down with this COVID stuff, they never did that. Now, they have another trial going on where they do mix these two together, and that's what they're talking about here. And so, it'd be great if they can get this thing by next flu season, but I believe that when I see it, just to be honest with you. I just don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. All right? For one thing, I don't think they've even gotten to the phase 3 on that. I had to go look at the website. They do show where they're at on that stuff. But bottom line is, it's all about the COVID stuff right now. And that's what you need to be concerned about. Okay? So that's a bad headline, but good news. Okay? So you got to watch these headlines. Now, see, here's one. EU expects key data on Novavax around October. All right? Here's another one. Let's go and look at this one. All right, so the European Union expects Novavax to submit data needed for the possible approval of its COVID vaccine around October, an EU official told Reuters on Friday, in what could be another delay for the U.S. biotech firm. So, could be another delay, okay? Novavax signed a deal with the EU this month to supply 200 million doses and said it would complete the submission of the data to the European Medicine Agency for the vaccine approval in Europe as early as September, end of September. So, and it says we expect data around October, even though they said it's the end of September. Okay, so that's fine, whatever. But we're not sure about the precise timing. Nobody's sure about that precise timing right now. The EU officials familiar with the process said under conditions of anonymity, as the matter is confidential. So it's confidential. Don't tell nobody I'm telling you this. It's all very uncertain. The official said nothing that further delays, not noting that further delays were possible. However, the source said a decision on the vaccine approval was still possible this year, as long as there's no more delays. Okay? All right, so that's great. So Novavax said in its most recent earnings announcement that it planned to submit its data to the EU within weeks of its filing to the British regulators. All right? Setting the likely timeline between late September and October. So nothing's changed since earnings, okay? We are confident in this timeline and the progress that's underway, the spokesperson said in an email to Reuters on Friday, okay? So bottom line is nothing's changed since earnings. So any kind of talk of delays and things like that is just a bunch of bull, okay? So that's nothing to worry about. But the volume's not there. Let's go back to the chart. The volume's not there. So that concerns me right now. What I actually tried to do is sell those. I was up on those stock shares in my IRA, so I was trying to sell out of them, the ones we bought this week, because I really feel like, and I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because I've got plenty of shares, it could pull back next week if there's no news again next week, okay? Because we're getting 820. If it didn't come out next week, that's where people are going to start getting worried. All right, so bottom line is this: watch out for next week. With low volume, this thing could drop. The big boys could get in there and play some games with people, knock it down, make everybody think it's bad news coming, and next thing you know, an article comes out after hours and you're chasing it. So that's why it's good to hold it. But I really thought, if I could unload what I bought this week, I was going to go ahead and do that and try to get it a little bit cheaper next week. But, you can get caught doing things like that. So be careful doing things like that. We got to be real careful doing things like that. So anyway, good week for Novavax as far as our trading goes. We got some at a good price, kind of moving our shares around a little bit, some of them, and unloading some. So we're not as heavy in as we were, definitely since the last 2 weeks, because we were loaded up in IRAs and cash accounts. But it's paid off, so we're good there. All right, Tilray, another green day here for Tilray. So that's good. Nothing really to brag about there. 5-day chart, you can see we've got a down week. So nothing helping us there. And Nikola had another green day. Let's see how they did for the week. I know they did have the last 2 days. They were up a little bit, I think. And no, yesterday they were down. Oh, wow, they took a good hit yesterday and then back up today. And the week actually was up for the week. Okay, so a little rough ride, but it was up for the week. That's just going to take some news. Volume's normal. So nothing going on there as far as that goes. But it was again, we were down for the week as far as the portfolio goes. But that's okay. We made some good trades. We pocketed some good money. The pullback that got us was the Novavax pullback. It just got us this week. So, but I do want to talk about the stocks as far as the Dow goes. The Dow is up 14.75% this week. This year to date, and the S&P is up 18.25% year to date, and the Nasdaq up 14.17% year to date. Now, if you're just getting started into stocks and you just want to be in the market, you could cost average, buy a little bit each week of things like for the Dow, DIA. Okay, that's an ETF that tracks the Dow. Then you can buy for the S&P, you could buy SPY and just cost average into that. These indexes, they're better than mutual funds because the fees are a lot less and you're not going to even hardly notice them. And you don't really have to do anything. Just put your money there. And as the market goes up and down, these are going to go up and down, but you just keep cost averaging, keep putting a little bit here, a little bit there in those three things. The last one would be the QQQ, okay? So if you just want to play the market, you don't have to buy stocks. You can just do it that way, okay? Those are called ETFs. They're DIA, again, for the Dow, SPY for S&P, and then the NASDAQ is QQQ. You can just buy a little bit. If you got a little Robinhood account, just put a little bit of money every week in each one of those. Now they're up high. Everything's up, near all-time highs. So don't be surprised if you don't get a 10% pullback or something like that eventually. But that's when you really, want to put some money in there when they get back. But if you'd had sit here and waited, thinking when we started the year it was too high, because it had a great run up last year too, you would be missing out on 14%, 18%, and 14%. Okay, so timing the market's hard. It's just, what did I say? I heard somebody say it's not about time in the market, it's about time in the market. And so that's what, if you're young especially, don't worry about these going up and down. Put your money in there and just leave it alone and just watch it grow. All right, it does go up and down. You can have a 30, 40% pullback when there's a pandemic. But you don't worry about that. You leave your money alone and you just let it grow. And it will grow back eventually. And it doesn't take long as you'll see that one didn't take hardly anything. Most time, when I've looked, most recoveries are usually within a year or two. So what I like to do is, as a retired person, I like to keep a year or two worth of cash on the sideline, because if the market tanks, I don't want to sell anything for a loss. That if I'm in something. So if it tanks, I'd like to spend the cash and not have to sell losers. So, but All right, so those are good returns, but we're beating every one of them. So and we can thank Novavax for that. Probably it's been our biggest winner of the year. So we're beating every one of those. We are sitting right now in the IRAs around 77% cash, and the cash count we're actually now at 72% cash. So lots of cash on the sideline if it does pull back. We're all about that. Okay, so especially being retired, I'd hate to sit here and watch it go down real far, but it can go down far now because I've got all my money on the sideline, and I'd just love to get some stuff cheap. But you got it last year with the COVID virus, so I'm not expecting that kind of pullback. But things are high, so you don't be surprised if we don't get some kind of pullback at some time. But hey, a lot of people have been saying that for a while, and it hasn't happened. So anyway, but that's the week as far as the wrap goes. But hey, I appreciate you new subscribers that's come on board, and I appreciate all the old subscribers. We have had a little pickup here lately, and I hope if you're watching and you like the videos, go ahead and click that like button and go ahead and click on that subscribe button. We'd love to have you on board, and we'll talk to you later on in the week. Probably going to be Monday after the market close, and we'll talk to you then. All right, thanks. Have a great weekend.